Hi fiber friends, this is Mindy with Henley Handmade. I naturally dye yarn for fiber artists so they can create mindfully. And today I am in my garden doing a little behind the scenes video. I have been working for the past 7 weeks, this is my update 7, in my garden trying to get it ready to go for growing vegetables, but also dye plants as well. So this week I don't have a lot of updates in terms of the labor part of rebuilding my garden for the season, but I do have some seedlings to show off and just a couple things to talk about. The first being my beans. So nobody mentioned to me last week that beans are not a cool weather crop. I don't know why I've always assumed that they are. I don't think I've ever actually planted beans from seeds before, and maybe that's where the confusion happened. I think I've always just bought them as starts in the store, and now that I think about it, even before I moved to Central Oregon, I typically got a later start on my garden, so I just went ahead and I bought starts, and I probably saw beans and peas and at the same time at my local nursery, and just assumed that you plant them at the same time. So nevertheless, my beans are in the ground. I planted them a week ago, more than a week ago actually, and we'll see what happens. I can always replant them, no big deal. The other thing about my beans is that I've always bought the vine kind of beans, and after I planted these sometime this week, I was thinking to myself, I don't know, I should probably check the packet on those beans and see, are they bush beans? I kind of think maybe they might be bush beans. So I looked at the packet, and sure enough, they are bush beans. I think it was a packet that somebody had gifted me a couple years back that I had never gotten around to planting. And whatever. They're on my fence line, along my fence line next to my peas, and they will just be bush beans. Not a big deal. I did plant them according to the spacing directions on the packet, so I'm not too concerned about it. So the other thing I want to talk about is are pests in the garden. My biggest pest at the moment, yes, I already have pests, even though I barely have anything green growing. Ants. Oh my goodness, the ants. The ants on our property are just horrific, and I just don't know what to do about them. We have a lot of fire ants, which really made me nervous when my kids were smaller. Now they know to stay away from them. But there were a couple ant nests in the garden, in the fenced-off garden space, that I noticed when we were preparing the beds, and I didn't really do much about it. And now that I've planted some seeds, and the weather is getting warmer, they're already coming back. And if you follow me on Instagram, I did share in my stories yesterday that one of my sunflower seedlings actually was pulled up by the roots, and the only explanation I have is that they had to have been the ants, because the ants were just swarming my seedlings, and I think they were probably going for the sunflower seed shells. So I went ahead and I gently pulled the rest of the shells off that were still on the leaves, and but that won't help with with the ones that are still in the ground. So we threw down some diatomaceous earth yesterday because that's what we had on hand. I don't know, we'll see. In the past, we've tried it and it hasn't done anything. So at least it hasn't done anything for the fire ants. The ants that were crawling on my seedlings, as far as I could see, were just like tiny little sugar ants. So maybe I'll have better success with that, with those. I don't know. Do you guys have any tips on dealing with ants? I would love to hear them. in the past, I've tried planting some herbs with my strawberries because one year I lost basically all of my strawberries to ants, and but I didn't get them in the ground early enough, and I think maybe I don't know, maybe the strawberries were already basically done by the time I tried that. Yeah, so please let me know if you have any tips on dealing with ants in the garden or just in the yard in general. Man, I would love to take care of the fire ants. They're just all over. They're all over. We have about 5.5 acres, and they're just, yeah, there's nests of them everywhere. And so far, the things that we've tried just haven't worked. So, yeah, if you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. I'd love some suggestions. So, let me give you a tour of the little seedlings that are growing in my garden this week. Let's start here with the wildflower bed. I have wildflowers starting to pop up. It's really exciting. There's a lot of weeds in here too, which I'm gonna have to deal with, but a lot of wildflowers too. I used 2 kinds of dirt because I was I was in a hurry, and it seems that the potting soil that was in bags, which is this stuff over here, has done a lot better for the little wildflowers than this other stuff, which was the dirt that we bought to fill all of our raised beds with. I'm not going to be concerned about that yet. I think maybe the conditions were just right. I don't know, we'll see. My carrots, if you recall, that is where I planted them, and I've stopped watering them because I don't think they're going to I don't think I was able to keep them wet enough. So I'll try them again. It's still getting it. This morning when I got up, it was 33, so it's still getting quite cold in the evenings, or in the early mornings. So when I can leave my hose plugged in all the time fairly safely, I'll probably start those again. So here's my strawberries. I've gotten a few flowers on them, which is pretty good considering I've basically neglected them last year. So we'll see what I can do this year to help them out. And then over here are the highlights for me this week. My sunflowers. Oh, look at those tiny little leaves that have popped up. Super exciting. The white is all of the diatomaceous earth, so they're hard to see because of it. But I have sunflowers basically every 18 inches all along this fence line here. And then here's my gate, and on the other side this is where my beans are, and then all of my peas. So I planted sugar snap peas and snow peas, and that's what I planted because that's what we eat here, and I've had good success with them in the past. So that's the garden update that I have for you, week 7. And if you do have any tips on how to deal with those ants, please let me know. I'd really appreciate the help. I'll see you next week.